Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Since it is the start of a brand new season, pretty much the start of a brand new era here in Warzone, obviously we're seeing a lot of updates go out, whether they are fixing things like crashing or textures not loading in or the demon glitch happening, or if it's things like weapon tuning and whatnot. We've seen already quite a few updates go live, and obviously over the course of the coming months and honestly over the course of the coming year, we're going to see plenty of updates drop here and there, including one that is going to completely change loadouts as we know it, especially when it comes to Vanguard loadouts, specifically when it comes to Vanguard loadouts, because Raven recently announced that they are basically overhauling a huge feature that they implemented with the Vanguard weapons. It's going to really change how things are built and how the game is played. So as we go over the implications of all of this, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, this is the best place to be for everything going on in COD. And right around 57% of viewers watching are not subbed to the channel yet. We're just a couple of thousand subs away from 800K. So if you want to stay up to date with everything, this is the place to be. Feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. Also, with the holidays now right around the corner, if you're looking to grab a pair of Gamer Advantage glasses, all month long, Code Immortal gets you 20% off your entire order. Usually it's only 10%. This month though, they boosted it up for the entire month. So if you want to grab a pair, prescription or regular lenses or any accessories, Code Immortal has you covered. Link down in the description below. So the origin of our conversation stems from the December 10th patch notes. We got a couple of different changes in this one. We already obviously went over these when they dropped right away, but specifically what we want to look at is the weapon tab here, where they say weapon adjustments. With this update, we have drastically reduced the amount of bloom on all base Vanguard weapons. In the future, we will be removing bloom from Vanguard weapons entirely. This process will take time as we will need to determine adequate downsides to counterbalance the removal of bloom, which will vary based on each individual weapon and the type of attachment they are attributed to. In addition, we are in the process of assessing weapon ADS speeds across Warzone. So real quickly, we can talk about the weapon ADS speeds. That's not really the primary focus of this video, but it is something that's going to change quite a few different loadouts as well. I assume they're going to be enhancing the speed a little bit on quite a few weapons, specifically Vanguard weapons, because a lot of the attachments sort of destroy ADS speed, whereas on MW weapons and even on some colder weapons, the ADS speeds are pretty solid as is. So I imagine they balance those out in one way or another. But really what we want to focus on is this removal of bloom. Now, last time I talked about this, I saw probably 150 comments asking, Zach, what is bloom? This is my first time hearing about this. Didn't even know this was a thing. Basically, if you don't know, bloom is the deviation of bullets when you're going to shoot them, right? So say you're using a red dot sight and you are lined up on a player's head from 15 meters away and you shoot with a modern warfare weapon or a cold war weapon. Every single bullet you shoot is going to go exactly where that red dot is placed, unless obviously you're strafing left to right or looking up and down like crazy. And obviously there's bullet drop as well, but the bullet's going to shoot straight on. Whereas if you're using a Vanguard weapon that has bloom, even if your red dot is lined up on a player's head, sometimes it could shoot right at that player's head. Other times it could shoot a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, a little bit down for no real reason other than RNG. So bloom creates a randomness in gunfights that literally benefits no one. Bad players get to, suffer more because their aim might not already be that great, and now they're going to be missing shots that they potentially could have been hitting. Good players who have great aim and great tracking now can lose a gunfight because of something that is completely out of their control. It's just an awkward thing to have in an FPS like Call of Duty, and pretty much nobody has been, on the side of, yeah, we should keep bloom in the game, right? Everyone's like, yeah, this doesn't really seem right. So they've already gone ahead and reduced the amount of bloom that Vanguard weapons have, the base weapons with no attachments, but obviously as you build stuff out, there are attachments that have cons of -1 accuracy, -2 accuracy, which is giving you more bloom. And then there's also a ton of attachments, literally almost in every single weapon category, that give you increased accuracy, better bloom, so your bullets are not straying left, right, up, and down as much. And I think that's really the reason why they say this process is going to take time, as we're going to need to determine adequate downsides to the counterbalance of the removal of bloom. Because if you now have these weapons that basically increase your accuracy and have less bloom and make yourself more accurate, that's going to make these weapons potentially a little bit broken, but also they now have this plethora of attachments that are completely useless. And I want to go in game and basically see what we can probably anticipate is going to change. And there's a few key things that are actually going to affect pretty much everyone's loadout based on the pros that they have now, and likely the pros they're going to have once this removal of bloom is actually implemented. So we're here in the Gunsmith, and let's just look at a couple of these attachments that are, really going to be affected once this bloom removal takes place, because a lot of these are specifically built just to help bloom. So when we just look at the muzzles here, we have the compensator. That's for recoil accuracy. That probably won't change. The MX silencer, I'm going to come back to. The recoil booster is something that actually hurts accuracy, but gives you a better fire rate. But if there's no accuracy to hurt, there's no bloom to hurt, what's going to be the con of this? That'd have to change. They're probably going to, give it a little bit more recoil or do something else, a worse ADS speed, something along those lines. Mercury silencer, doesn't really matter here. The cord muzzle brake, this is an attachment that is entirely dedicated to increasing accuracy and giving you better bloom. So the removal of bloom makes this entire attachment completely obsolete. Hence why it's going to take them so much longer to completely remove it. They can't just say, all right, bloom's out of the game, you're good to go, because now we have all these attachments that either have useless cons or useless pros, or in this case are entirely obsolete and negated by that removal. Stabilizer, same deal. You're getting better damage range, which is super nice, and a reason that I want to use it on some classes. But the plus accuracy wouldn't matter once that bloom is removed. But let's look at the MX silencer, because if you'll notice, on every single weapon in the game, there's usually two silencer options. One like the Mercury that gives you better sound suppression and then better recoil, but it hurts your damage range. And then one like the MX silencer, sometimes they have different names, M1928 silencer or something like that, that gives you better sound suppression, better accuracy, but hurts your ADS. Now, in all reality, there is zero reason to use the Mercury silencer. This is like the lightweight suppressor from previous games where it's hurting your damage range. Yeah, you get to stay off the radar, but it's going to hurt you in the vast majority of fights. You never want to have this on a sniper, on an AR, on an LMG, even some of the SMGs, which already have very severe damage drop-offs at like 15, 20 meters. It's just not worth using. The MX silencer, though, is definitely the better of the two Vanguard options, but versus something like the monolithic suppressor, the agency suppressor, the GRU suppressor, all those keep you off the radar just like the MX silencer would, but all those previous ones from Cold War and Modern Warfare also give you increased damage range, and that's why everyone uses them. Some cases they give you better bullet velocity as well, and those are the huge pros that you want in a game like Warzone, where a lot of your fights are 50, 60, 70, 80 plus meters in range. You want better velocity so your bullets get there quicker. You want better range so you have a wider engagement area to fight in and do well in and be efficient in. This, though, doesn't really give you that. So you compare this versus a setup that has agency or GRU or monolithic, and just based off the muzzle category alone, there's a pretty severe disadvantage to all the Vanguard weapons. But if we're removing bloom, this plus accuracy has no place in the game anymore. I would not be surprised whatsoever, and I actually am anticipating that these suppressors get changed to keep you off the radar with the sound suppression. They probably hurt your ADS speed, but they give you increased damage range, so that they're basically a copy and paste of the monolithic and the GRU and the agency, right? So that's something that we definitely want to take a look at in terms of muzzles. A lot of the barrels give you accuracy and control. I don't think those will change too much. A lot of the MW barrels and whatnot are also for control, and same deal with Cold War. A lot of the stocks give you increased control while you're shooting, accuracy and recoil during sustained fire. I imagine they just changed that to being a more recoil-based attachment. Same deal, some of the underbarrels like the hand stop, plus recoil, plus accuracy, probably going to give you plus recoil, minus hip fire accuracy, maybe a little bit less cons than something like the Carver, which is just based on control and gives you the most control, but also has the worst ADS speed, so on and so forth. Things like the polymer grip, better accuracy and recoil during sustained fire, probably get dropped down to just being a recoil-based attachment, and this is definitely the best grip for that specifically already, so that's not too big a deal. But then we also have the perks, and a lot of these, not specifically on the NZ41 here, but on a lot of weapons in general, have a lot of perks that are just dedicated to helping accuracy and or accuracy and control during sustained fire. So like for instance, you look here, initial firing recoil for brace, that's probably something that'll become wildly beneficial when there's no bloom, because it's strictly focusing on recoil and it doesn't really have a competitor with accuracy. Whereas if we were to go look at a different weapon, let's say the PPSH for instance, tight grip plus accuracy and plus recoil control during sustained fire, half of this becomes obsolete when there's no bloom to deal with. Things like steady though still work just fine. Things like nerves of steel though, accuracy and recoil while injured or suppressed. So as you can see, between all these weapons, obviously this is just two examples, there's a million more to go through. There are so many attachments in this game that are affected by bloom, either hurting your bloom more or helping your bloom and making you become an accurate player, either while regularly shooting, while hip firing, while being injured, while sustaining ADS and firing. There's so many different things that are affected by bloom that the fact that they're already removing this basically changes every single loadout and every single setup here to a certain degree. So a lot of things to discuss when it comes to the removal of bloom in general, and definitely something that we're going to have to keep an eye on as it evolves over time. Of course, as we get any new updates revolving this or any other weapon changes, we're always covering that here on the channel, so stick it here for all the latest information on that. Make sure you are subscribed with your notifications turned on, and of course, if you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.